atrocities are continuing to happen. Why do you think that is?
Well, Filipinos face the oppression in the Philippines because, as you are aware, like we have been in this imperialist country being ruled by right now Gloria Macapagal Arroyo, and all the previous presidents were under the U.S. regime. They are, collaborating with the Americans, and since the Marcos era in the 70s and 80s, the series of presidents had plundered the nation's economy. So there's no choice for Filipino migrants but to leave the country and come to Canada. And this is the only program that is available for them to come to Canada. But under the live-in caregiver program, you have to be in serving the same employer for 2 years within the 3 years. So we are really forcing the Canadian government, the policymakers, that they should let everybody that comes under this program to be landed immigrants. When the nurses and the doctors came to Canada in the 60s, they were given landed immigrant status. So if we are good enough to work, then we're good enough to stay. So I don't know why up until now they haven't granted this change to the LCP program.
Okay, so what is PINAY doing to kind of address these issues and help women that are coming to this organization with these, terrible atrocities that are happening to them?
Well, our members are given educational discussions, and we always have workshops. We always tell them to attend these workshops because this is the forum for them to discuss why we left our country and what attracted us to come to Canada. And we always tell them their rights, and if they're working for an employer, they have their rights, and they're not supposed to work over 8 hours. And if they work over 8 hours, they should get overtime pay. And they're also encouraged to attend seminars given once a year, and we invite members working for Norme de Travail and the Citizenship Immigration Canada to come and address the issues, their questions under this program.
How do you attract women that are just arriving in Canada? Do you have an outreach program?
Well, we always go to the parks, and our members attend French courses. So we always give them our flyers, and once a month we have a merienda session, like a snack session, inviting them to come to the Immigrant Workers Center to watch videos about like modern heroes, modern slaves, like documentary films about live-in caregivers.
Speaking of the International, Immigrant Workers Center, I know that you have a coalition with other women for the upcoming International Women's Day. So would you like to speak a little bit about how the women of diverse origins are preparing to have an event for these?
Yes, for the past 7 years, the Women of Diverse Origin, the March 8 Committee, have had series of celebrations. This is our 7th year. And Immigrant Workers Center, the Iranian Women, South Asian Women Community Center, and PINAY are some of the founding members of this event. And so on March 1st, this coming Saturday, we have the workshop, the whole day workshop on Women Take Back Democratic Space. And this is going to be held at the Université de Montréal, 3200 Jean Briand. And we will have a lot of international guests and local speakers.
Will you be addressing some of the issues that we're speaking about today, about the inequalities happening for, say, the members of PINAY?
Yes, we actually have our vice chairperson, Delia De Vera. She has been in Canada for the past 4 years, and she hasn't received her landed immigrant status because she was also a victim of like an abusive employer. And she is going to address the issues of PINAY, and she will also speak on the current campaign, which is the CSST campaign. The CSST campaign is to grant health and safety to the live-in caregivers. Because in Quebec right now, the live-in caregivers are not regarded as workers. So they are not covered by the CSST.
So they have no union or?
No, and when they fall and when they become sick during work, then they cannot have coverage. Otherwise, they will be forced to stay home or forced to work because of fear that there's no insurance for them. So this campaign is addressing the provincial government because Ontario, Manitoba, and BC already has this for the domestic helpers, and Quebec still doesn't have this.
Well, you've been working for 17 years with this particular organization, so what do you feel are the gains that have been made for the rights of Filipino women here in Quebec so far?
Well, the original goal of PINAY is to empower Filipino women and to speak for their rights. So we advocate for their rights, but right now, like Delia is a chairperson of PINAY, and she's now speaking out about her testimonies, about her experiences. So I feel that we have empowered a lot of Filipino women that comes to Canada. And also in 2000, we had the campaign that the Filipino women caregivers, no, not just the Filipino women, but the LCPers, get minimum wage as the local, like the or regular workers. Because in the year 2000, the live-in caregivers does not fall under the regular workers, under the norme de travail. So they are making less than the regular workers. For example, now the minimum wage is $8. At that time, it was $7, and the live-in caregivers were making $5. And so we fought. We had the Immigrant Workers Center and other groups, SOC and other groups, to fight for this. So now they're considered workers, and they have to make the same minimum wage as other workers. And it has to be like a 40-hour work week.
Okay, well, it seems that your mandate is really to change some policies so that there's equal rights between Filipino workers throughout Canada, basically. So what do you think are your main goals for the future for this organization?
Well, we hope to see that when we come to Canada, that we will not be facing the same oppression that we had experienced in our country, that when we come and we work, we will be under a permanent resident status, and the Medicare, when you come here, you have to wait for 3 months to have Medicare. So when you get sick, you use all the money do you have. So we're dreaming that when in the future, when the Filipino come as live-in caregivers, they will have permanent resident status. They will be covered by Medicare right away, and that they will be covered by all the other laws. That's not only for Canadians but for all workers here in Canada.
There's so many issues that can be addressed, and I'm sure with your experience you have a lot of different stories to tell. But if people want to learn more about how to help out PINAY, and through volunteering or just by contacting your organization, how might they be able to do this?
Well, we have our email. They can write pinaycan@yahoo.com, and they can check our blog. We have a pinayquebec.ca blog, and you can call Evelyn Kalugay. She's the chairperson of PINAY, and she had used her house as the office of PINAY. We have her hotline 24 hours. You can call her.
Okay, great. Well, thank you so much for speaking with us and letting us know a little bit about the details for the upcoming conference that's happening in the March. So thank you very much, Tess.
Thanks for having me.
No problem.